Welcome back to the Love, Truth, and Power podcast. In today's episode, we share the true stories of the color of love in all its diverse shades, shapes, stages, and phases. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first question. Your name, how long you've been married, and what was y'all song when y'all started dating? So we'll start from left to right.
Well, do I just introduce myself or just...
Either way, doesn't matter.
Okay, well, I'm Patricia Booker. Next Friday we'll be married 29 years. And you said our first song when we first met, or...
What was y'all song when y'all were dating?
Jesus. I know the wedding song.
Yeah.
Anita Baker, I Love You Just Because.
Yeah.
So that was the wedding song. Any other songs? It just was any other songs.
Theodore Booker, like she said, we were married 29 years. This one, the song she said, just because
Antoine Covenant Sr. We've been married 20 years. That song was Lenny Williams, just because.
I'm Raquel Covington, 20 years, and yeah, I would have to say that was it, Lenny Williams.
My name is Isaac McKay. It's my wife, Rebecca. We call her Becky. We've been married 30 years, and this February will be 31 years, and our song is Keep Sweat, Make It Last Forever.
Because it's a test.
It's a test. I'm Daryl Frierson. It's my wife Ruth. We've been married for 33 years. And I want to say the song is For You by Kenny Lattimore.
I love this song. Oh,
Yeah. Okay, back when you were dating, what was one thing about your spouse that made you hesitate, and what was one thing that intrigued you? We'll start with the Covingtons.
Oh, let's start with you.
Oh, okay. One that made me hesitate, I would have to say he was from the streets, so I wasn't used to that. You know, all country girl, born and raised. So that hardcoreness around him, that made me, a little. But then that very thing also intrigued me, because I had a roommate and he had did something, and when I told him, I just told him, don't say anything, because I have to live here. And when I came out of the kitchen, he had him up against the wall. And I remember thinking, my goodness, I have never heard anyone threaten a person's life. And to hear him say that to him, like, if you ever do anything to her, I'm going to handle you. That was like, oh my goodness. So it was the exact same thing, but, for different reasons. Oh my goodness. It did something for me.
The one thing that made me hesitate is because she was a good girl, and I won't hit on nothing back then, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't want to mess it up. But I was used to good girls, you know what I mean? I lived a different lifestyle, but that was the thing. I really didn't know how to really talk with her. I had game, but the game was for a different breed. The game was for a different breed. So, I had to regroup, so to speak. And so that, and then it made me step my game up. You know what I mean? And I went to a job to pick her up one time, or just to see her, whatever. And she come out there with this business suit on, and and I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm like, hit it, man, I'm coming up, because of what I'm used to, want the tight jeans and want the short miniskirt. She coming out looking all business, and I'm like, man, I came up, you know what I'm saying? So So that right there what got me, and I was like, yeah, it made me step my game up, and then to see that it was something better than what I was used to. So I moved.
Miss Becky.
Ask the question again.
What was one thing about your spouse that made you hesitate, and what was one thing that intrigued you about him?
For me, I would say my family, the way I was raised or whatever. But I was happy that I wasn't listening to that, and and went for what I wanted because I got a good one.
On my turn. That's a hard question for me because we was teenagers. Like when I met Becky, I was 17.
I was 15.
She was 15. So we didn't know what we was doing. We was just doing it. Wrong. All wrong. But I would say the color barrier was probably something that had to be in the back of both of our minds because I was raised my mother from the deep South. She grew up during the Jim Crow era, and so that was something that caused us both to probably hesitate because of the way our parents, how separate they are as far as where they come from. Yeah, that was probably one thing. And what intrigued me the most, probably the same answer. You know what I'm saying? Just she was different than what I was used to dating. So yeah.
The one thing that made me hesitate was we're from two totally different worlds.
Right.
And I just didn't want to put in the work. I ain't used to that. I ain't putting all that work.
Right.
Not doing it. And I think that was the same thing, like they said, that intrigued me about her because she was different and she was so innocent, didn't know. She just was there. She was trying to figure it out, and I'm looking like, okay, we can do this. I got to be patient. So her innocence is what intrigued me. Yeah, she had a big heart.
What made me hesitate was that we were from different worlds, geography and culture, and religion, again, because I was Catholic and my hubby was a heathen. That's what
I was a good heathen.
And what intrigued me about him was, that he was different from what I had known. So he introduced me to his world, which was, he is very much an athlete. He was a very popular athlete, very popular. And so, and I could care less about sports. I can't even jump rope because I'm not coordinated enough. So anyway, introducing me to that world is what intrigued me. I wanted to learn more.
Well, what hesitated me about him, I had a lot of low self-esteem. Growing up, classmates used to always call me black girl, and so I took on all of that. And when I met him and he was interested, I'm like, oh no, he could not be interested in me. There has to be something wrong, always looking at myself. And so what intrigued me about him is that he just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, and it helped my self-esteem. And that he's a good guy, totally different than what I'm used to dating. First-time guys, laying down the first day, I don't want to call him, because I love my black men, I don't want to put him down, but just totally different from what I was used to dating. And then I had a daughter, and she is 2, and this is Daddy. So, I mean, it's just so much to this story that is just awesome. It is. So, just him kept coming back and showing me that I was one. And when I first met him, I was in a club, and he said that the Lord said, "You will be my wife." I was like, I don't know what God you talking about. I wasn't saved, and I was like, oh, he don't know what he's getting himself into, So it's something. But that's it. He just kept coming back, So.
Oh.
Okay, what made me hesitate about her? I did meet her in the club, and as we started to date, I was like, man, I don't know about this club thing, So that kind of made me hesitate, but I kept going. And what intrigued me about it was every time we go out on a date, she had her own car, she had 2, 3 jobs. Every time we go out on a date, she'd have a wild one. I was like, man, this girl is independent. She's just the one right now. I liked that. I'm a numbers guy, so I liked that. I said, man, she can hold her own.
Okay, so our next question is define love, and we're gonna start with the McKays.
Define love.
In my own words?
In your own words.
Unconditional.
All of that.
Yeah, I would say unconditional. Just to have somebody there to tell you that everything's gonna be okay and all that good stuff.
Mine is trust. That's how I would define love. Trust in everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mine is just knowing you got my back.
Okay, you stole mine.
I mean, that's what you got my back. That's love for me.
Covington.
That was mine. Knowing that somebody got your back, and knowing that regardless of what the circumstance looked like, even though I might be down, but she come and say, you know what, babe, we're gonna be all right. Even though we can't see that we're gonna be all right, she's still there saying, we're gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. And just one, regardless of what the situation is, not downing you. I can't believe you put us in this position. Can you none of that. So I mean, even though ain't no words, but I'm trying to explain it the best that I can. Just knowing someone is there with you, that you're really not in this fight by yourself.
I think as I'm sitting here thinking about it, what comes to mind is like what the vows say. The richer for poor, sickness and the health, death do you part thing. Like that to me is love. When no matter what, you're on my side. Always, whatever it is, you're on my side. And if we disagree, we'll fix it. We'll work it out. That's probably the best way I can say it. Come on.
Oh, me or her?
Mr. Farmer.
Wow. I think where I'm at today and what I see as far as me and her, I realize that she's the other half that completes me. So that is the completion that makes us whole. So that's what it is for me at this stage in our lives. We make one.
I think for me, like he said, right now what it is, in what I have learned through my own experience that defines love for me is not how he loves me, which is what I thought when we got married. I loved the way he loved me. And I let that ride for many years. Like, you just keep loving me that way and I'm happy. But how I define it now is the way I love him. All that love is has nothing to do with what I'm getting, but everything that I'm giving and everything that I give.
That's good.
The more I give, the more I love him.
That's good.
And that was interesting for me.
And I'm a happy recipient.
That was good.
And I'm surprised by it, right? Only because of what Christ says. Love is patient. So for me, I would always measure love is patience. Are you being patient? Are you this? Are you that? Versus, am I being patient? Right? And the more I learn to be that person, love is patient, love keeps no records of wrong. The more I lived that, the more I loved him. And it's just interesting how that has worked out.
That's good.
Say it again.
Okay. So when you're married for any length of time, we sometimes let our shortcomings flourish and risk paying a high price for a cheap thrill. So how do you adjust? So for better explanation, Mama, you go first.
So I think for me, one of the high prices that a cheap thrill that I enjoyed as a wife was that I have always been very opinionated and mouthy, right? And so many times I misunderstood that to thinking that I was, I had a lot to say because I just knew a lot, and so I'm like, so if I know a lot, I should impart my wisdom. And then I chalked it up to being honest too. I always wore that as a sense of pride, like I'm honest, and so I just have to tell every honest thing that I see. So anyway, that was a cheap thrill for me because I would always have to have the smartest comment, have to have the last comment, and have to have the, I always have an opinion on something. And I think for me that was a very cheap thrill, right? And in our marriage over time paid a high price for my mouth. And so when we grew distant and and so even though I felt like I was winning because I could say everything that I wanted to say, my marriage ultimately was paying a higher price because it wasn't what was best for us, it was what was best for me. Right. And I was just looking out for me in the moment. So so many times I think we've paid a high price, and the high price for me has been, being disrespectful to my husband in order for me to have the last word.
Yeah, and me, it was pride, because I didn't want to hear it.
Right.
It didn't matter. I don't care what you think you know.
Yeah.
Don't bring that noise to me. I don't want to hear it. That was my pride. I don't care. I'm in charge. I'm running this. So my pride, man, please. Life is good.
Right.
But it could have been so much better. I think because of me and my pride. That's my pride. And it's still an issue.
Right.
Pride.
Right.
But, it's better now. It's more controlled. And now I see it. Before, I wasn't trying to see it. It didn't matter. I didn't want to hear it. Whatever. So that caused a lot of confrontations between us. But, again, now that I see it, and she'll bring it to my attention, and I noticed it before you brought it to my attention, whatever. You're just saying that because I'm going back at you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear what you're telling me. And most of the time, she was right.
My God.
Yeah.
Most of the time, she was right. That's the truth. She was. But still, I was proud.
Yeah.
I'm going to be right on this one. One of them I'll be right on. So I think that was my cheap thrill to know that, most of the time she was right about what she was saying, but my pride, I wasn't letting it go. I wasn't letting it go. So that was my cheap thrill.
When you first asked that question, I didn't have any idea, but your explanation helped. I think mine was because I perceived that I came from the better background. I wasn't from the streets. I wasn't raised to be this or to be that negative things. And so I thought my upbringing made me the better spouse. And because of that, my view of things had to be the right way versus his. And I don't think I realized that for a very long time. And probably really even in recent years, that it doesn't mean I was wrong in everything, but my approach to it, I didn't realize I was probably trying to force him to do things my way. But I'm thinking I'm just being nice and kind and generous because I'm sweet and I'm funny and I'm all of this, but that didn't mean I was right. And so it took me a very long time to see that he might come from the streets, but I'm married to a man with a huge heart, really funny, really caring, a great father and grandfather. And it's like, I can't, why am I better because I came from the county? You know, why is my view of life better? And why does my way have to be the way we go when he's just as smart and just as opinionated and has his own mind and can make his own choices in life? And so I had to kind of go, wait a minute, maybe there was a sense of pride in myself as well that I would never have thought was there. No one in my life could have described me as having some big old ego or everything, but that kind of helped me. And then seeing him go, well, you know, I have an opinion too, you know, and just because I don't know these big words and don't have these degrees on the wall, don't mean that my view or my opinion is less valuable. And so it took me a long time to really see myself in what I was doing.
Shit, I'm glad we send me a copy of this right here. Pretty sure. But,
so his is pride too, right?
Yeah. No, mine is pride, and it is because, you know, I know the background she came from, and I won't be able to sit up there and go wit for wit with her. But I'm a man. And I'm like, I ain't listen to me. You hear me? I don't want to hear no more of this. And I'm through. You know what I'm saying? So now you talking to the wall. Because you know what? I'll tell you what. I'm getting ready to get up out of here. You know what I mean?
Sound like me and you.
you know, and that was just my pride. And you know, and then like what Dara was saying, even though at the time what she was saying was right, I couldn't receive it because I didn't appreciate the way it was being delivered to me. You know what I mean? And it wasn't so much of what she was saying as how she was saying it. And I know it wasn't her intent, but it was like you belittling me. You get what I'm saying? Or you talking down because I don't have all of these degrees and all of this. But I done made it this far, doing a little bit that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And I was a man when I met you. I'm going to be a man when I get up out here. You get what I'm saying? So, and mine was my pride. And, you know, and my ego was like, you know what, man? And as I'm going down the road, so I'm saying, you about the dumbest thing. If you don't tell you how about around, you ain't gonna find nothing better than what you got here, boy. And then, you know, and even then with my pride, no, that's all right. I go to my brother's house for a little while and let her think about it, thinking that I'm torturing her. And I'm over there fighting the phone. Now I better call her. Make sure she all right, you know what I'm saying? But it was really just my pride. And yeah, and I think I used that, and it hurt our marriage for a long time. It did. Like the brother said, life is good, but it could have been a whole lot better if I went. And then my wife got a saying. She said, "Why act like you happy when you can truly be happy? Why do you have to act like you have a good marriage when you truly can have a good marriage?" And so I'm like, you know what? She right again. I said that to myself. at that part. You know, but and that's where that pride got a hold of me real hard.
You know, your mom stubborn, hard-headed. Isaac says I'm selfish. I don't believe it, but hey. I always feel like I'm right. I'm never wrong. But when Isaac went to Christ, I didn't go with him at first. So it took me a long time to learn that I had to humble myself and get that out. And I think since then, our marriage and our relationship with each other, or me as a person, is a whole lot better.
Read that first question again.
We let our shortcomings flourish as a risk paying a high price for a cheap thrill. So how did you adjust?
Okay. My shortcoming was trying to change her when it wasn't my place. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
For the longest of time, for me, it was, God called me first, but that don't mean he just didn't, that he didn't call her. And he called me in my time, but maybe it wasn't her time. And so for the longest, it was me trying to point the finger at her like, this is what you need to be doing, instead of saying, let me just work on me and let God work on her.
Right.
And so that tore our marriage apart, because pride, I'm thinking I'm doing what Ephesians 5 say that I'm supposed to do, and not knowing that I'm just supposed to love you. There's no if after love your wife like God loved the church. He don't say if. He just said do it. And then whatever happens, happens. And so that was probably something that, and how did I adjust? The way I adjusted was I stopped trying to change her. I stopped trying to make her like the next Christian wife or this Christian wife that you see on this. You know what I'm saying? I just stopped trying to change her, and I let her be her. And wherever we went, if this is who she is, and you're gonna respect her regardless, and that's how I changed, and that's what made our marriage better. Just me stop trying to, babe, you need to do like this, and you need to say this, or going home saying, well, you should have said this way and said this way, when she said it the way she knew how to say it, and so that's something that changed our marriage. So now I just let her be her, and that's I just stopped trying to change her. So that's how it changed for us.
I can say I trying to wrap my head around the question, because there's so much that I could add to it. We were just sharing with you guys about, remember when he just said when he met me, I had the wild money, I had it going on, my daughter, just me, but behind the scene of all that, he didn't know I was not a really good financial person. I did have the money, it should have been in the bank, but it was in my closet, because that's what I was used to, parents having money in the closet, so that's where I kept mine. And so when we got married, we didn't discuss the finances. He just assumed, I guess, that I could take care of the finances. And I think as we went down the road, we discussed it after we got in so much trouble because of him allowing me to handle it all. And I was helping my family with the money, paying their bills, just doing the normal me, And so when we really got a hold of it, the first time, we're gonna say we, or just me, we allowed it again. It kept going on. And then when I got saved, God convicted me and said, hey, he's the head. And so when I try to say, hey, you gotta take over, he didn't want to. And we realized down the road that he saw his mom taking care of finances in the house, and she did it all. And I don't know if that's a shortcoming or what it was. I don't know, but it's just that we talked about it after we really realized what was going on. And we talked about something a month ago, that he brought to my attention in June. He was like, you know what? If I would have taken over, our house would be paid off by now. And I was like, whoa. And I felt really bad. I felt like going in a hole because I did that. And he was like, well, no, you didn't do it by yourself. we did it together. So that's the only thing I could think of that was like a, I guess, cheap thrill that I wasn't aware of until later on, and we got in trouble financially, you know. But now, boy, that thing, you handle it, man. It's so fun to have let go of all we could have. I mean, money is not everything, but it's what it does. And you know, but it's just
It helps.
and it's still kind of hard now because I give my whole check and put it in the bank, and that's tough. You know, but I'm like, am I gonna be able to do this? But it's still tough after what 15, 16 years. It's still tough, but I'm following through, and it's better. It's definitely better. So, what do you have to say, sweetie?
I just want to talk about the same thing she was talking about. I hated that I let her take over for, you know, ever since we met, I let her take over. I thought she was able to handle things, but I didn't know. I was the better person with handling the money, you know. So, you know, I went a long time, you know, hating myself for that, you know, a long time, because things could have been a whole lot better, you know. But once I, you know, caught grab for everything, the Lord was like, look, take over your household. And once I did that, things were better, a whole lot better. So, you know, I kind of hated myself for that, but things are better now.
Awesome.
Alright, so what are some habits, customs, and or beliefs that you had to give up or die to self so that your marriage could thrive?
Oh, boy.
Let's start with the Covington.
Say it again.
What are some habits, customs, and or beliefs that you had to give up or die to self so that your marriage could thrive?
The Redskins got to be one of them.
Well, we ain't conquered
No,
that yet.
no, we walking one over here. I would think for me, it would have to be, you know, my mother raised me to be very independent. And she set me up mentally, I guess, that if you walked out today or tomorrow, I'm good. Because I don't have the luxury of wallowing in it. I have to get up and I have to keep going. And then add kids in that mix. So I could tell him if he had whatever mood or whatever he might have been in at the time, and if he was going to leave or threaten to leave because he knew I loved him so much, that was that threat. And I'd tell him, well, you know, don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. You know, I was the one that would tell him to go play in traffic. Like, it just, because I loved him, but I love myself. And she instilled that in me. Do not ever let a man make you feel like you would die if he walked out the door, basically. Like, you have to be able to take care of yourself financially, take care of your kids, and all of that. And so that was a great thing, but I absorbed it. And if any kind of threat he might have made, I used to tell him, if you leave, I'm gonna cry tonight, but tomorrow morning I'm going to work because I have to keep going. And so, he tried it a couple times, I think, and I'd go get the suitcase, take the clothes out the drawer, put them in the suitcase, and he'd be like, I don't need your help. I know you don't need my help, but I'm a gut wife. So a gut wife helps her husband pack. So I'm gonna help you pack.
Some things ain't funny. I don't care what you do. Some things ain't funny. You gotta keep hopping on that. That wound ain't healed yet. Be quiet.
So I really had to learn how to take all of that and balance it. That be an independent woman in the concept that if for any reason something bad occurred and he wasn't around, that I could take care of myself and the kids and move on, not as a defense mechanism against him. And so I had to really get there. It took a while. I'm still in training.
Yeah. The key to me, I had to die to myself because the old mindset that I had from where I came from, you know, one, I didn't need no woman because if you leave the day, another one be here in a half hour, 45 minutes. You know,
No, you don't have to keep harping on that.
She said you got one more time.
You heard me the first time. Yeah, and I just said, because I wasn't taught how to be a real man, you know, I wasn't taught how to be a husband, you know what I mean? So these are the things I had to learn, or how to treat a wife and to deal with a wife. These are things I had to learn, and she was training me. But I had to get that old mindset, you know, really to be able to see her for who she is and our situation for what it was. And just old habits, it's just the old mindset, you know. And even when she helped me, she didn't help me pack this time. She packed and left. And I think she was gone about 2-3 weeks. And I cried like a newborn baby. Boy, I gotta get my baby back. You know what I mean? And then that didn't work. I had to beg and plead and beg. And then she finally gave the old boy a chance.
Yeah,
I'm good now. I'm good now. So, you know, just to die from that old mindset because of the way that I was trained. I wasn't trained to be with no one woman. I wasn't trained. I wasn't conditioned for that. I wasn't built for that. And so I thought, you know, but then my mind said, when you find a good one, you know, you'll make the changes that's necessary to keep what you have. And that's what I did.
you gotta kind of make it a daily thing. You know, every day you get up, it really has to be a mindset where you go, he is the head of the house. That's my baby. What can I do today to be good to him, to show him something? You know, my dad always says that they try to outserve each other every single day. So what can I do today? You know,
That's good.
Yeah.
And we gotta understand each day, like you said, every day, because when a woman get up, she got that mouth when she get up. So you gotta be able to endure the mouth and go through the day.
That's wisdom.
Yeah, you just gotta endure it. You know what? Okay.
I will start with Miss Patricia.
Okay. Mine was clubbing. Got married, still thought I was gonna do it. He would be at work, and one day it ended. Girlfriend was planning to go out, and she would come and get me early. And he knocked on the door, and I thought it was her. I went to the door, and it was him. I was like, ah. So he just let me, you know, get ready and do my normal thing. And so I was ready to go. He was like, "We going?" I was like, "Well, me and Edith, we going out. Not today, you're not. You want to dance, you better go in that dance." So one thing led to another. He holding it at the door. I'm trying to move him. Just foolishness, you know. But we sat while I cried, and we just talked about it. And, you know, he was asking me, why do you think you have to go? And again, that self-esteem thing still there. Running to the clubs and liking the guys. Oh, you cute, you know, being real about it. And I used to love to hear that. He never knew it until, you know, we really sat and talked and broke it down as to why I was going and stuff. He said, you know, and I think one of my love language is, you know, adoration. I think it is to tell me that, you know, I like that from him. Yeah. So he was like, "Why did I give you that?" You know. So it was just amazing to see that. And if I would not have stopped, I think the marriage would have been done, because he's a man of his word. It is not a joke. So I was like, okay, I have to do this. And it was tough because I was clubbing, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And he was allowing me to, you know. So what made you, we never get to the question of what made you tell me not to go anymore?
It just had to stop. He was married. What did you need to go to club for?
She said one day it stopped.
One day it hit me, and I was like, you know what? She gotta stop.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to the club. You got a good man at home.
That's right. We didn't tell y'all that one, did we? Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that had to stop. Oh, that had to stop.
With me, you know, after we got married, I found out later on that in my family, it's a lot of we talk loud. We country folks, we talk loud, and I didn't realize for the longest time that I was loud. So every time I would say anything, it was like yelling. You're yelling, lower your voice, you know. So you know, I had to learn how to, you know, be a little bit quieter when I talk, you know, because that kind of was messing our marriage up because I was always loud when I came out my mouth, you know. And I was around a lot of cursing too. My dad cursed a lot, whatever. So I kind of picked a little of that up. So yeah, so I've been working on those two things, you know, because like you said, you know, what you come up around, you know, that's what you see. You end up, you know, you tend to do the same thing. So that would have really ruined the marriage if I wouldn't have tried to work on it. So I'm trying my best to really do better with that.
Awesome.
And it has gotten better.
The company you keep, huh?
Company you keep.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Mr. Fur.
Man, I had several deaths. I died a few times. It wasn't just one thing. It was so, you know, man, it was several. It wasn't just one. There was a lot of funerals going on. Man, for me, it was selfishness. I think that was the biggest thing. And not willing to be patient and not willing to care. Again, for me, man, relationships was easy. It was like, hey, okay, we ain't good no more. Okay, move on. That's how it used to be.
Right.
But again, you know, I had to pay attention and focus, which was something that I didn't. I was careless. It's carefree. You know, that had to change because I was so selfish and I was so prideful, man. And again, like she said, I play ball. I mean, I'm getting paid to play. I'm in the Army. Life is good. I'm traveling all over the country. Hey, whatever. And that stopped. As she would say, one day it stopped. And then I realized my wife and that she was supporting me. Even before we got married. I mean, you heard her speak earlier that she wanted to learn the game, and she ended up being my biggest fan. The only person I ever knew in history. She's the only person in the history of football that got kicked out of a football field for cheering for me, and I had to realize, you know, what was in front of me. You know, like I said. When we got married, we didn't really know each other. And there was so much dying to self and changing and not sure if I wanted to change. You know, this is what I knew. You know, I'm 7 years older than her. So I was like, I'm too old to change all this stuff. I'm not doing it, you know. But again, we started growing together, and it took some time. I can tell you, we had some struggles and some battles where I wasn't willing to go through it. You know, I wasn't willing to do it, and but again, our kids changed a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
Kids will change things
Oh, yeah.
for you, and I saw my daughters. Oh my God, that was just This is what I want to do. So then we started growing together. We still had struggles. We were from two different parts of the country. You know, we were.
Like Daryl, I think I had a lot of things to die to self, and I relate to Raquel's story also about being independent, but for different reasons. So, again, you know, in my culture, the man is very dominant, and then I saw my mom be very submissive to a degree that I disliked, right? And she was very sacrificial. And so when I was young and I saw that, I left my home with no intention of ever marrying. I didn't want anything to do with marriage. And again, God is good because my goal was very different. And my goal was really, I wanted to have daughters to make everything right for them. And God was good. And so even when we married, like my husband said, it's like, I'm marrying you, we're going to have daughters, and then I'm out. You can go your way.
That was the conversation. I was like, what's wrong with you? What are you talking about?
Yeah. And it had nothing to do with him, again, because it had more to do, like I had a goal in mind, right? And so, and being very independent and thinking about how much you have to give up when you get married, and I didn't want anybody to boss me around, so I had to give a lot of that old thinking up, but it took a long time. It took many years. I want to say we were here before I really started looking at myself, and like I said, and a lot of it had to do with, living in fear, which I looked at strength, right? I was like, I'm strong, I'm independent, I can do what I want, ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. You knew why we married. You knew why I married you. I had a goal in mind.
Right.
And then I said, and then now you can go and do what you want. And if you chose to stay, then you got to live with what comes with this.
Oh, wow.
And so, we clashed a lot because as you heard him, he was, selfish and prideful, right? And then we came from different cultures as well. And I had a lot of hurts from seeing my mom go through what she went through that I said, that's never going to happen to me. So I stayed in a fight with my husband. Not in a fight that he was really involved in. It was just me saying, I'm going to be independent. You're never going to talk down to me. And that was really, it was very exhausting, right? To be in that fight with a husband who wasn't in the ring.
I'm still recovering.
And to me, from my perspective, it's interesting that he says that, he wasn't patient, because to me, I've always said, a lesser man would have left me a long time ago, right? Because now that I look back at myself and I'm saying, between my mouth and my fears that I translated into strength that weren't really strength, they were fears. And so, fears of being belittled, even though he never did, but I kept, and again, I always think, and I share with my daughters, as I've grown and learned, that I was so afraid to become my mom.
Wow.
That I became my dad.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Okay. And so I didn't want to be submissive, so I became this, not strong person, but just really, like I said, I just have a mouth that I'm actually kind of proud of it, because I'm like so sharp-tongued. It comes to me quick. But part of dying to my customs and my culture and my beliefs was that I don't have to say every thought that comes to my mind, and I don't have to have the last word, and that actually doesn't help me. And so, and it doesn't help my marriage. And to start dying to the fact that I'm not looking out for myself, I'm looking out for us, right? The us has to become more important. And I don't think I saw that until I started to know Christ, and I'm like, because he's always known me. And he has a better purpose for me. But I'm saying, when I started to know Christ, I almost went through a mental breakdown, because I'm like, I don't want to do none of this stuff, the submission and the be quiet and all this stuff. I don't want to do none of that. And so, but I don't want to go to hell, so maybe I'll try to be quiet. So it was a lot, like Daryl said. I think, we were both very immature, very much into ourselves. And we did a lot of, damage to our marriage. But I'm thinking, again, to God the glory, because now that I look back, I'm like thinking, God had a greater purpose for our marriage. Because between the both of us, we made a wreck of this thing. But yeah.
Yeah, and it was my old heathen way. I was like, your beauty did it. Girl, if you wouldn't find out, I'd let you know. Okay, keep it up. So I was like, all right. Let me give you another chance.
I feel you on that one.
Yeah.
I'm glad you 6'4", boy.
Oh, we're good then. Whatever reason, I'm still here.
Okay, for me, growing up, and that's another thing with me and him learning our cultures, I guess you could say, because in my family, my mom didn't show love. She didn't show us love. His mother did. You know, they hugged and, you know, whatever, said, I love you. So me, I'm not nice. I can't tell you I love you all the time. I can't touch you all the time. My girls, you know, having girls, it was really, really, really hard for me to show them any type of love, to hug them, because it's like, you know, Deontay all day, I'll hug him all day. That's my baby. But I think that could have caused a lot of, you know, and then the fact that we were so young, so me and him, basically, we raised each other. Because I
raised you, we grew up together.
I got emancipated when I was 16, so I was on my own when I was 16. Because I had already had my oldest daughter. And so, I mean, he's all I've known. So throughout our years, I have learned a lot and I'm still a work in progress as far as showing, but I think I'm doing a lot better as far as that. But I mean, we've been together for so long. We've had so many things that could have destroyed our marriage. Both of our parts, because I'm hard headed. I want to have the last say so. I get mad real easy, all that. But I mean, I'm a work in progress. I mean, that's all I can say.
We all are.
We all are.
For me, the hardest thing that I had to die to was the way our culture painted men for what I saw growing up. If you don't get it here, you just go somewhere else and get it. And my wife said that, you know, she never showed the love and affection, and so a man, you'll go and anybody out there tell you that, and then you'll take to that. Yeah. And so I had to learn that. Like, I had to learn that she may not say it a lot, but this is where you're supposed to be. And like she said, culture thing was hard. I don't think it was anything I had to culturally I had to die to. I just had to get rid of the thinking that, you know, being in the military and she would get mad and I just leave, you know, and run into the club and hanging out with the fellas and, you know, just that kind of stuff. I had to learn that patience, that I had to have patience and allow her to come along when she came along. I remember years ago, my dad told me we don't do divorce. And that was probably 20-something years ago, you know, because our marriage was a train wreck at every intersection. I'm serious. At every intersection, man, it was a train wreck. And, you know, but, you know, Lord willing, he kept us together. But I hope I answered that question right. But that's about it for me.
I just want to go back, if I can, to what she mentioned about the club, and then she said, and then one day it just died. So you must have seen my husband, because he clubbed too.
I don't know.
If
I knew about it, I was
Not here. She's talking about in Germany.
And it wasn't every day. It was only Sunday through Monday. But
You really want to tell the story?
I am
You really want to tell the story?
They should. So he would club a lot. I wasn't a clubbing person, right? But he would go out all the time. And people would come back and say stuff to him. It's like, Daryl was here, Daryl was there. And I'm like, okay, but that's his thing. That's what he likes to do. I don't have a problem with it because I'm not going. That's not my thing. And so, so one day he came over again like he used to, and he's like, hey, going out to the club, see you when I come back. I'm like, okay. So one of my friends said, you should go out because you probably want to go see what he's doing, right? So I'm like, no, but but I'll go out to the club. So he comes over, his usual, dressed up, knocks at the doors, like, and I'm dressed, and he's like, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to the club. And he's like, what? And I said, I'm going to the club with my friends. And so he's like, no, you're not going to the club. I said, yeah, I'm going to the club. You're coming to tell me that you're going to the club, right? He's like, well, can you come see me before you leave? So I walked over to his barracks, and I'm like, okay, I said, what you need? Daryl's in bed. And he said, I'm not feeling well. I just don't feel good. And so I said, well, what happened to you just a minute ago?
Mike taking notes.
I got sick.
Yeah. So he's
Quick.
yeah. You're not going to stay and take care of me? I'm like, no. A minute ago, you were fine. So so my friend and I went out clubbing, then Daryl shows up, and he's like, I'm dancing on the floor. And Daryl comes up, and he's standing there, and he's like, we're going home. And I was like, what? He's like, we're going home.
I was like,
What? We're going home? That's what I'm standing here. Everybody else is dancing.
I was like, what the hell are you doing? Oh, let's go. Yeah, whatever. Let's go. Now.
Drive me off the floor. Now, mind you, he was only clubbing 7 days a week.
Right.
One time. And that's when it ended. He wasn't going out for
I can't remember.
Amazing. So what happened, Mr. Darryl?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's funny, and when I saw her, I was like, what are you doing out here? No, this ain't how this go. And then I realized, right? Yeah. Hey, you stop, I gotta stop. Okay. All right, yeah. Like you said, hey, come on. We ain't doing this no more. All right.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. We went off.
When she said clubbing, it brought back some bed.
Don't let it go.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. What was your greatest misconception you had about marriage when you got married, Mr. Booker?
Before I got married, I was always, I knew a lot of couples, would see a lot of couples, and they were always fussing and arguing, and it seemed like their marriage would never work. So I was like, man, I ain't gonna never get married because it don't work. I went a long time thinking that, but then I realized after I got married that it was all what you put into a marriage to make it work. So the more you put into it, the more successful your marriage will be. I learned that.
I don't know if I had any, I don't think. Well, it could have been that my uncle would always say, Pat, you need two men. Don't have one, always have two. And I end up having two. So when we got married, before we got married, I did a lot of stuff before we got married. I was dating him and another guy. So if that guy didn't work, I have him to fall back on. If he didn't work, I have the other guy to fall back on. So that's a real terrible misconception. And that was faulty once again.
You put a stop to that when the quickness.
Yes. God.
Mr. Covington?
Well, mine was just that one woman thing. We won't train like that. And now to get down to just one woman, and you got to make it work with this one woman right here. I mean, whatever goes on, this is who you have. This is what you got to deal with. And I always thought, ain't no way in the world I could be happy with just one woman. You know what I'm saying? The old folks used to say, you're a poor rabbit if you ain't got but one hole to go home to. And that was the thing, because even when I had realized that this is it, the I need right here. You know, I even went back and told my uncle, the one that helped raise me, I was like, Uncle, you know what? I'm going to stop the drinking, stop using drugs, and I'm going to just settle down with just this one woman. And he knew right, I'm just going to settle down with this one woman. He said, now, okay, I agree. Stop the drug and stop the drinking. But you can't have just no one woman. You know, God put these women out here for us.
Every young guy loves a woman like that.
Yeah.
Hey, you walking home.
Well, she know the
He
story.
good now.
She know the story. She know.
Wow.
And that was the thing that I felt like that one woman, I couldn't be satisfied with one woman. And that's a myth and that's a lie. Straight from the pits of hell. I'm more than
From the
satisfied.
pits of hell.
From the pits of hell, I'm more than satisfied with this one woman.
Amen.
Amen, brother.
I'm thinking of this because, you know, this is our second marriage, so I don't know that I really had this per se as, other than I guess, you know, if you be good to him, then, you know, he'll be good to you, you know, and the reality of it is, no matter how good you think you are, you still have to work at it. And that doesn't mean just because you're good that person is automatically going to recognize all this good that you're giving them, because they're coming with their own background and history and baggage and all of that. So I think that would probably have been my misconception for this one. You know, I'm going to make sure I treat him well, I'll respect him, I'll love him, anything he asks, I'll do. I was that kind of person with him from the start.
From the gate.
And then, but he didn't know how to appreciate that.
Right.
But I kept doing that, and I kind of lost myself there. And so I really had to learn, no matter how much I love him, don't forget your own values and morals and your boundaries as well. Love doesn't mean that I get to let you walk all over me. So I really had to learn. It takes more than just that. It really does. It's work. It's worth it, but it's work.
Mr. McKay?
She said, Mister.
Let's see, at 19, when we got married, the biggest myth or misconception, I don't know. I would say that it was just going to automatically be easy, I guess, because that's all I saw my parents. I've never seen my mom and dad fight, ever.
Wow.
I mean, I've never seen them argue. I ain't never seen them have a disagreement. If they did, they hid it very well from me and my siblings. But I thought that's how every marriage was supposed to be, just out the gate. You know, I didn't know they was working at it behind the scenes.
Right.
Yeah. So that
Always
was
look good, right?
yeah, always look good. Always look good. But
Right.
we didn't know how. You know, I didn't know how pillow talk went for them. You know, so that was probably a big misconception at 19 years old. Like it was just going to be that, because that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Rude awakening.
And for me, I was 17 when we got married. I never thought I would have gotten married that young. I thought I was gonna, you know, finish school, go to college, do something, and all that changed. But like Isaac said, you know, I thought it was gonna be easy too, but come to find out it wasn't. When you have to pay the bills and all that mess, and having the kids and stuff. Yeah.
I think it's what I said before. I think my biggest misconception was that, you know, you had to, for wives, for my role, that I would have to lose myself in my marriage, right? That I wouldn't be able to be myself in a marriage, which is why I didn't want any part of it. And I'm glad to say that was a misconception for me, because one of the things now that I'm in my 50s and I hear women say, now that we're an empty nester, I hear a lot of women my age, as we're having conversations, say, like, I don't know who I am now, but I'm not a mother, or this or that. And I think for me, one of the things that has been good that was a misconception is that you would have to lose yourself in your marriage, or you forget who you are in your marriage, or you become a mother and a wife and you forget who you are in a marriage. And I think I'm glad to say that I don't have that thought. I'm in my 50s. I've never had that thought that I've lost myself in my marriage. I've always known who I was in my marriage. And so I'm glad that that wasn't true for me, that misconception of losing yourself in your marriage, that just hasn't been my experience.
Since your mother stole me in my youth. It's been hard. I think for me, it was that nothing would change, right?
Right.
I got married. No, nothing's gonna change. I got a wife. But life is good,
Right.
and nothing would change. I was playing ball, and she was coming to the games, and it was the same. Hey, I get home, guys are going to the club, want to hang out, it's after, we ain't doing none of that. None of that happened. And again, the responsibility of having kids, that just changed the whole mindset. With us, before we got married, we went all over Europe. We went Nice, Paris. We was doing the thing, and then Ashley came, and I still wanted to do the thing. Let's go. I'm going. Because I played ball, so I was all over Europe playing ball, and that stopped. They had to go, and I had to grow up. I was young, I was stolen, but I had to grow up. I just thought that nothing would change.
Yeah.
I had a wife, and she would adapt to what I was doing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I had a wife.
That's
You're gonna adapt to me.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Men, this is what we do.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need you to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And she would, man, please.
She ain't adapting.
She wouldn't have that. She was like, whatever. I need my kids, and you can bounce. Yeah, we ain't doing that. That's what she said.
Can go.
That's crazy. You know what? I ain't never heard that before in my life.
Yeah, me.
All I want is daughters.
And then you could go.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't.
Me.
We wasn't even married. And I was like, are you crazy? I never heard that before. Who says that? This ain't what we doing. And that's what it was. I mean, she was so serious. It was like, she wasn't even trying to get married. That's the crazy part. And the funny thing about it was that I was like, that's the last thing I ever wanted to do was get married. Ever. I was like, man, please. I was 26 already when I joined the Army. I went to college, did everything. I was like, man, if I get married. And lo and behold, a year later, I was like, this is some bullshit it is. What happened?
That might be the key, Bruce.
You know what?
Just to tell the men that you don't want to get
But
married.
the funny thing about it, I thought I was all that. I'm playing ball. Everything is good. Life is great. And she's like, dude, I need a couple of girls, and
That's it.
he does. I mean, and I'm like, you crazy, Jeff? I'm saying to myself, you know who you talking to? Yeah, you do. Wait a minute, hold on, time out. And it changed from there. That's a true story. She was like, no, they how they go. So I had to, man, it wasn't about me.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And she showed me, and it was so authentic that she was serious. It was, in the Lord, I got 3 girls. All right? I got all girls. And I was like, wow. And she was so serious. And I was like, this ain't how this goes.
Right.
We got a daughter. We're gonna try again. Got another daughter. Whoever the hell come out the next time, it's gonna be named after me. I don't care what it is. And that's why she's named down. But that's how it was. And I was like, yeah, this ain't about me. It ain't. It's been about me all these years because it was just me.
Yeah.
Right? And when it's just you, it's about
It's
you.
about you, right.
Man, that thing, yeah, that was it. It wasn't about me, and yeah, it wasn't my way. Period.
What are the greatest joys in your marriage? Starting with the couple.
Man. Shit, man. All right, this PG now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I don't know what to say. Say it.
PG.
I would have to say now, being married for 20 years and with our children and grandchildren and the kids are pretty much gone, it's that we like each other as individuals and we can sit and talk and laugh and we have goals together as husband and wife. And I think for me personally, I know he loves me because I struggled with that for a number of years. And now I'm at that point where it's no longer a concern about it. I know he loves me and I know he chose me. And so to be here after all these years, that's a thought when the kids are growing up. What are you going to do when they leave? Because your life is centered around them and everything that they have going on. So with a son who, even though he lives with us, he is always doing his own thing, and one in school, and the girls are on their own. It's nice to know that we like each other and we can laugh together and life is good. And because I used to be afraid of how it was going to be, and now it's good. It's good. And even when I told him about today, there was no hesitation. Like, I don't feel like doing all of that. It's like, yeah, all right, I'll do it. That's a good thing that we do stuff together. Awesome. All the time.
Yeah, it is. It's a good life. Just to see how far God has brought us, as individuals and as a couple. Sometimes I still be amazed at what did I do so good that God treat me so good. You know what I mean? That I don't even deserve to be as blessed as I am. But because of Him and His wisdom and it's just amazing. To be around someone that you like being in the same room. You know what I mean? Ain't every day. Some days I just want to go in the garage, leave me alone. You know what I mean? I go watch my Young and the Restless. I'm good. I'm good. But just to see the growth that God has brought us both through. To grow up, and then like you say, the kids are gone now, and then you find out it'd be late to find out that we don't have nothing in common. You know what I mean? Then all we do is just come in the house and leave, and all right, I'm gone. No, it's good to be. Then this is when I can grow old with and come back and sit in the rocking chair and we talk about the good old days and all of that. Someone that even when I'm not feeling up to par, I have someone that can lean on me to me. You know what? You done came through before. You gonna come through again. Just to have that person. It's great that where God has us without getting too preachy. Just I don't even think I deserve to be as happy as I am because of some of the things I don't put out in the atmosphere. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
McKay.
Let me go first. The greatest joy?
Yes, sir.
My greatest joy is that she never left. I've sabotaged our marriage for 30 years. I sit here and say it, that I've sabotaged our marriage for 30 years. If I wasn't so selfish and bullheaded and thinking that I was God's gift to whoever, you know what I'm saying? We probably would be far beyond where we at. But I don't regret it because it puts us where we are. One of my greatest joys is that she never left, man. And I've sabotaged this marriage. Jesus.
Wow.
100 times over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she still grab my towel and put it in the bathroom every night. You know what I'm saying? She still folds it and sits it right. You know what I'm saying? And after all these years, she still do it.
Go ahead, honey.
And after I know that she loved me, that's one of my greatest joys. You know, to have to wipe her husband's butt because he can't walk and can't take his own bath. To see that after what I put her through.
Wow.
Come on.
Bro, let me tell you something, man.
Yeah.
That is the greatest joy because she could have just said, look, dude, you change your own ostomy bag, you wipe your own butt, you know what I'm saying? But after 30 years, you know, she still do it, man. And like I said, praise the Lord. But yeah, that's my greatest joy to know that she never left and that I know she loved me. Yeah. So good for her. Your turn. You're looking at me. I'm looking this way.
My greatest thing is I would have to piggyback off of him that he stayed. I had my faults. You know, I was an alcoholic for a long time. But with me, I was able to, put it down, and I don't need it every day. You know, I'm not like them alcoholics that have to have it. But I called myself that because I was doing it morning to night. But my greatest joy is that he still makes me laugh. I mean, I can go to him and not feel stupid to ask him a question. You know, it could be something I should know, but I don't know. But he's not gonna look at me like I'm dumb, and he'll explain or whatever. And then also, before I leave every morning to go to work, he prays for me, and he prays for my employees. He prays for everybody in that building before I leave, and I like that every day. I enjoy it.
Y'all getting deep and heavy. That's good stuff.
Mom.
My greatest joy is serving my husband. Again, because I will share a story. For me, I wasn't a serviceable wife, and to the point where, like I said, I wouldn't serve my husband because of the fear of being subjugated, right? Not because he wasn't worthy of it, just because I was always fighting this battle. And the first time I served my husband, I broke out into sweat.
Wow.
Like a sweat. I was sweating, I was shaking, I was talking to God and saying, why do I have to serve? And so,
And I'm like, I don't want it like that.
Girl, you scared to eat it?
And when I brought him a cup of coffee, to bed, my husband said, he looked at me.
What's in the cup?
You sip it first.
And so, and it was interesting because to that point, I was like looking at him like, and he's like, why are you serving me coffee? And I'm like, I said, I'm doing it out of reverence for Christ, not for you.
Oh my God.
Begrudgingly.
It's crazy at the time. I'm not a Christian. And I'm like, you did that for me. Yeah, whatever. I ain't doing that.
And so, but to go from that, I'm telling you, not because my husband wasn't worthy, because he was so serviceable to me. But my pride and just that fight that I was fighting, that And I'm like, no, I'm not serving. What is that? And so when I take when I'm telling you, I was sweating and I was shaking and I was sick to my stomach. I'm like, shit. It was right, but it speaks to my pride and to God's glory.
That's
And I'm like, wow.
Very
And
helpful.
now to see, like I said, I'm just doing it out of reverence for Christ. And I even told him, you better enjoy it because I'm doing it. As soon as he changes that thing in the Bible,
You let the pride go. You better. Yeah.
That's good though. That's gonna help
Be a
somebody.
muscle.
Yes,
but then
yes.
to see, right, I did just start out doing it out of reverence for Christ. And I think that's what I would love people to know is like, you just do it out of obedience, right? You don't have to enjoy it the first time. And I think that's the thing that people believe is like, how do you stay married when you're not happy? Well, you do it because, you know, it brings glory to God, right? That's how I learned grace. That's how I learned submission. That's how I learned everything that, you know, God calls us to is through my marriage. And so, and to go from there that you're just doing it out of reverence for Christ, not because you want to, and you're doing it out of obedience, and you do it and you do it. And then in that process, God is transforming your heart. You know what I mean? To where, what I'm saying now, my greatest joy, as God hears me now, and God knows it's not Ruth, it's God. It's like my greatest joy, I tell my daughters, is when I see my husband walk into his house after work, and I can either hand him a beer or he grabs one and he sits like he is in his castle, right?
That's good.
To just see him sit and relax, and I can serve him, you know, whatever, dinner. Even it was surprising because yesterday he went and he was doing his toes and stuff in the bath, and I walk in there and I'm like, let me, you know, scrub your feet with the salt and do all this stuff. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, oh no, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
He's like, I'm looking like, what the hell you doing? What are you doing here? I'm trying to cut my toenails to clean, do some maintenance. She picked my foot up, was clean. I was like, okay.
And now I'm not only doing it out of reverence for Christ, I'm really enjoying serving Him, and I'm thinking that's the greatest joy now in my life, is to serve Him. Yeah. I'm like, who are you, girl? Yeah.
That's funny.
It's simple for me. I'm gonna make it easy. It says, the life we live is the life we make. I still want to be the first breath you take. That's where I'm at. And I still want to do that. I still want to be that for her.
Let me tell you
It's-
that.
And there's nothing else to say. That's it. I'm there, right? It took time to get there, but
Right.
man, it's about her. That's it. Me,
I'm good.
I'm good.
Right.
I'm good.
Right.
Right? We don't need much.
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't.
me.
Hey, right now, I don't need much. With her, what is it? Let me know. I'm gonna make it happen for you, right? Because I still want to be. As soon as you wake up, what? Right? Make sure you're good. That's it.
Again, if I could just add, right, I had to talk to my daughters when I learned about submission and Christ and order in his house that didn't put me first. And so I had to apologize to all three of my daughters, right, and say the way I taught you was wrong, right? And this will be, you know, this will be how it will be moving forward, because this is how God says he'll be ordering his house. And so my daughters are like, no, Mom!
No, folding on us, still folding.
You're supposed to be up front.
And so, yeah, and
I'm looking at him like this. You ain't know?
Yeah, I'm still in power.
yeah, so anyway.
Miss Patricia.
Wow. My greatest joy is having a man that just wants me. Because, and that's so true because it takes me all the time. I've had a lot of guys, and I'm sure I was a girl and then they had others, but with him, it's 33 years we would say, but married 29 years. I think I've been the troublemaker. Let's say that, but just my greatest joy is just him knowing that I'm the only girl. That's mine for him.
That's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I would have to say the same thing for me because, I mean, I wake up every day and she's like, you know, you knock me off my feet. And I be like, sometimes I have to go look in the mirror and be like, what is this? And she constantly tells me that I'm not off her feet.
Yeah.
You know, that, and it just trips me out that she's like that every day. It's like, I'm her hunk. You know, every day, 365 a year.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey,
Yeah, so that's my greatest joy that
That's
she,
awesome,
you know,
man.
she shows me love every day.
That's
Shows me every day that she loves me.
That'll make you walk
That's
out
awesome.
with your chest
What?
poked out.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes,
What?
never had it before.
Huh.
Always had something
I mean, I'm 50 or 60 and I be trying to figure out what do you see I don't see. You know, but I love it.
That's good.
Don't say nothing.
That's a great assessment. I'm about to be 60. So I know, like I said, my wife, I'm 7 years older than her, and again, man, whatever I can do, life is good. I'm blessed. That's all I can say. I'm
Yeah,
blessed.
because I tell her all the time, most of these couples, somebody wants somebody else.
Yeah.
this and that,
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
you still want me. That's awesome.
That's awesome. It is.
Because I know I'm not easy to deal with sometimes.
That was slow. Maybe one of them questions will get to that. Share but hey.
There you go.
Is that everybody? Everybody went? Okay, make sure I ain't forget. Did Becky go?
So the next question is to the men. So what is the biggest pressure of being a husband/leader in your marriage? And we're going to start this off with Mr. Farrar.
I knew he was going to say that. See you later.
No pressures. I make it
The
easy.
biggest misconception.
Say it again.
What is the biggest pressure of being a husband/leader in your marriage?
Wow.
Wow.
I think the biggest pressures for being a husband with 3 daughters is being the example. It's being the example, not only for how I treat my wife, you know, and the life I give her, but being an example for what my daughters are looking for, which was super huge to me, and she knows how I feel about that, and they know. Nothing below me.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Good.
Nothing below
That's right.
me.
I like that.
And I'm the enforcer. So, and that was, again, we can go back to all the questions that came up, dying to self, doing this, that led to that. Again, I mentioned when you have kids, man, shoot, it's like, whoo, you're like,
That's right.
oh, okay. Yeah, this ain't how that go. So, and then you have another one, and then you have another one. It's like, okay, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it changed the game for what I wanted for them. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about us.
Right.
This is what I want for them.
Yeah.
These are my babies. I need them to be fine.
That's right.
I want somebody to love you crazy
That's right.
the way you see me love your mom. Because you're going to do and see what you see. Yeah, and Dad, that's my dude. Yeah. You know, Dad, that's your first love and favorite, your dog. That's my babies. This is what I'm looking for. And it's me. And I'm being prideful, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm the standard.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
No, nobody ain't going to live with me.
But you better shoot for it, though.
They try hard.
That's right.
But
I feel
again,
that. I like that. Definitely.
so, and as a leader, wow, man, if I could, if I would have came to Christ so much earlier in my life.
Right. Sorry, bro.
That's all good.
Good now.
That's all good.
So many things would have been different. So many things would have been different. It would have been so much easier. I had so much help with Christ, right?
Right.
So much help. Somebody to lead me, to take me where I needed to be, and to help me with them. So, yeah, that was, man, leadership is hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard when, as a man, you're being challenged every day, especially when you go to work. You deal with your challenges again. My wife says, I don't know what you're going through. You're right. I'm being challenged. But when I come home, I gotta lead. You're gonna lead regardless.
Yep.
Right? I'm gonna lead this household. Right on lead. Right? But again, I'm being challenged. The world is out there challenging me. And I gotta make sure that I don't react, that I respond. Right? If I react, you're gonna get that angry black man. It's gonna be ugly. But if I respond, then here comes Christ talking to me. Here comes that path that I'm on.
That's good.
That's good.
Right?
That's
So,
good.
Yeah.
that's it for me. Yeah. That's it for me.
Mr. Booker.
He hit it on the nose. He hit it on the nose. I got to piggyback on what he said. It, being that example for your kids, when you're out on the job, I mean, it all plays an important part. You just gotta try to do your best and, be a good example in every which way. As a husband, as a father, as a provider. My biggest thing, I always don't feel right if I can't provide. I gotta provide. That makes me feel good, that I can take care of my family, But like he said, being a good example in every way.
Mr. Covington.
Yeah, we all gonna piggyback on it. But
It's the number one answer.
the part about being a good husband, I just want to be able to give my wife. She says she wants something. I want to be able to give it to her. I want to make sure she won't for nothing.
We ain't gonna stop till she get it. Right?
I ain't gonna stop until we get it. And that's the key, like you said, with Christ, because now everything that our wife needs, God has already put it in us. So when we tap into Him, regardless of whatever she needs, our Father is able to meet every need she has. We just got to be tapped into Him. So, and then I thank God that He gave me my daughters first and not my sons, because I would have put that same ignorant mindset that was put in me when I was a young boy. How, you got to be this way. You're a pimp. You have more than one woman. You this, you that. So I thank God that He gave me. That's why He's so wise. He'll never be able to understand me. He knew exactly what He was doing. He knew I needed them girls, because I would have messed up a whole nother generation if I'd have had my boys first, because I'd have given them the same old ignorant mindset that I had at that time. So I just thank God for that, and just being an example, like let my boys see me open the door for their mama. You know what I mean? My son, they ain't gonna never be able to tell you they saw me curse their mama out or call her out her name. They never heard that. So being an example, because they are the men that's going out there. They gonna have a family of their own. If I don't show them how this is how you handle a family, I'm setting them up for failure.
Absolutely.
So the things I do, and just being able to provide, to make sure, like Daryl was saying, when them kids come, you non-existent. I don't even matter.
Yeah.
I don't care what I got to do. They ain't going without.
Yeah.
You understand? I don't care if I got to dig ditch night and day. I don't care if I got to crawl in the house because my back is hurt and my hands bleed. Whatever they need as a man, I'm going to make sure it happens. Regardless of what you think of or whatever. Man, I wouldn't be doing it. That's you. I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Ain't no job beneath me. I don't care what I got to do. to make sure my family have. And that's what men do. That's what we do. We roll up our sleeves and we get at it. And we do what we got. And I used to tell my sons, I show them all these calluses on my hand. I do that for y'all. But I don't want y'all to do this. I'm going to provide a better life. Go to school. You know what I mean? Go to, one went to the army, the other one in college. Do that. So you don't have to break your back. I'll break my back now so y'all don't have to do it. I don't break my back now, but back then I did. back then I did. And that's what men do. You know, whatever our family need, God already equipped us in the kitchen. We just got to ask him to let it go. And he'll let it go if you're lining up with him. That's all I got. Girl, you don't mess me up, boy.
The greatest pressure as a husband and a leader.
Yes, sir.
My greatest pressure as a husband throughout our marriage is what was learning that for my house to be the way it's supposed to be, I set the tone. A lot of times we come home thinking that they being our wives, automatically supposed to just create this tone for you. But I had to learn that if I set the tone, she'll set the atmosphere.
Come on. Woo.
And so
My God, yeah.
that was something that I had to learn over the years, that if I come home and set the proper tone,
That's right.
that she'll always set the atmosphere.
And
so that's something that I had to learn. It was big for me, because I just always thought it was her job. Like, I come home and this supposed to be done and that's supposed to be done. But if I, shoot a text throughout the day, sometime your dinner might be nice when you get home. You know what I'm saying? Little stuff like that. And so
Come on, Minister.
I'm trying now, man. Leave me alone.
Damn, messed us up with that.
I know, man.
I'm messing up with that.
But I noticed that that's what made my marriage better. Like we friends now.
Right.
For a long time we wasn't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We were just two people raising kids. Right. And then your kids get grown and you ain't got no kids no more.
Right.
And then the greatest pressure, the biggest thing as a leader for me was being able to look at her and say, yo, I need some help. You know what I'm saying? Like, we the man, and we supposed to do it, and it's my job, but I can't do it all.
Right.
And I need you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, we all got, we all come from somewhere, we all got PTSD, and I'm not doing this right, so I need you to help me. You know what I'm saying? And it's setting a better example for my daughters.
Right.
I didn't catch none of that until my son turned 9. Because I got 3 older girls, and my son is a sponge. And so I learned that about that time, man, like, I got to be a better leader. Because it was a lot of things that I was doing wrong, frivolously wasting money, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Things like that. But that's probably my biggest pressure, was asking her for help.
I'll say also, one of the things I talked about as far as my daughters and the pressure of being that person that they can set as an example came from her. Remember, I told you from the beginning, all she wanted was daughters. Right? So that was her focus. That never left me. So when they came, guess what? I need to be, I need to show them that this is what you're looking for. It was about them. Because for her, to this day, it's about them. Right? And I'm fine with that.
Right.
I love it. Because they're like sisters. Aren't you? They're like sisters. And it's a relationship that has nothing to do with me.
Right.
But when I sit back and I see it, it warms my soul.
Yeah.
To see my wife and my girls are like, man, they're like one. Every day it's a phone call. Every day they talk, they speak, And me, I'm like, why? Leave him alone. I'm like, leave him alone. And when she leave him alone, they're like, Mom, what the hell happened?
Yeah,
You
why
called
you
me
ain't
today?
called me
What's
today?
going on? Everything good? What's wrong? I'm like, okay. Right? But again, for me, I'm older, and the order is for me to go first. So when I see this with my family,
Priceless, man.
you can take me home today, and
Yeah. It's good to see moms and daughters having that
good.
type of relationship.
Seriously, I'm good.
That's good.
So for the wives, what is a consistent challenge of being a wife?
I would say for me is opening up, showing affection, communication. I guess Isaac would say that I'm too prideful a lot of times and selfish and
Let's get along, Becky.
I'm sure there's a lot more he would like to say, but he's a Christian, so he can't.
I was gonna say, don't set that tone, Becky, because I ain't going back.
Say she on the home Yo.
But for me, I mean, I had to learn a lot as well to be that perfect wife, that Proverbs 31 woman. Because, like I said, I wasn't raised to see that. So,
Right.
and I think it probably bothers him because I'll make my son's plate before I make his plate.
That's another podcast, but
But it just, I don't know. And then with my girls, you know, I've always envied you with yours because I wasn't really like that with mine until the two got married and Brianna got engaged. Mama.
Ask me again, what was the thing?
What is a consistent challenge of being a wife?
Him.
Let me put this back around.
Consistent challenge of being a wife. All I'll say is, in the Word, God says to the woman, you know, like, learn quietly, right? Be quiet. And I'm like, he put it in there for a reason. That is being quiet when you have so much to say. And that's a consistent challenge for me. It's really swallowing my words and then just trusting God that, you know, whether once I give my opinion, I'm his helper, but then once I give it, to be able to just let it go and trust that God will take care of me. I don't have to say everything that's on my mind. And that's a consistent challenge for me on a daily basis. Just being quiet.
But I'm a nurturer, so I really don't mind. But in my state of not minding, I need you to be mindful of things that you can handle on your own, that you don't even have to involve me. Because when a crisis occurs, the way I see him and how awesome he is, I don't want to burden him with nothing. If I can spare him from it, I will. If I can handle it, he ain't. Most of the time, he might not even ever know, because I'm going to handle it before he even has to. That's just how I am with him. If I could continue to be his peace, but I have to watch that to make sure I'm not creating the havoc for myself as well. So it's just, that's my biggest pressure, is making sure everything gets done and everything's handled and everybody good.
Staying out of the way is a challenge for me. I want him to grow because I think he will let me do everything. And I think that's how we got.
Money.
That's her question.
Exactly. Thank you. And I do handle the money. Thank you.
You don't have to answer that.
But getting out of the way, I want him to grow because I think from us having conversations when he was younger and being at home with the mom did everything. Everything mom did. I think we were like, what, 22, 25 when we moved out and stuff. So mom did everything up to that point. So when we got married, I took on everything. And so now I look at it like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let him figure it out because I'm a solution person. Problem comes in the house,
That's fine.
I look for the solution. I don't want to go back as to what happened, why it happened. Let's find a solution for it. He want to go the whole story. I'm like, oh God, we have to go all the way. Let's figure it out. But I wanna move out of the way, and that's really hard because I struggle with seeing him sad, or even though it's some small things like his little car and stuff. I was like, but anyway, I want to stay out of the way and help him to grow. That's my struggle. It's getting in the way when he should be in the way of doing it, right? So that's my struggle. Well, I'm doing pretty good with it, but it's like I need duct tape to stay out of the way. You be
Because
quiet.
we might be able to fix it, and sometimes we just don't need to.
We don't need. I know because I don't need to fix it, do I, sweetie? Because he can. He smart, intelligent, everything got it going on. But when I step in, there's no space for him to do it on his own, to show me. Because I like to see him just do it. It just do something to me when he just do it.
When a man handles it all.
Yeah, that's right. So
We ain't doing it all. We tired.
Exactly.
Not
We
all.
We tired. I can't do that. Isaac already said it. I need help.
Yes, he's not afraid to say it. No,
I'm like,
yes, baby, do this.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Bless him, baby, do it. And I want him to do it. And because he can.
What is it? Put the glasses
You know
on.
what's crazy?
Put him on
We
top.
talk all that, and that's beautiful because you know why? We'll see him be like, yeah, we want to do it, but in the back of our mind, we're like, can you please help me?
That's
Can
me.
you do that for
Well,
me? I'm like,
But the honesty in that,
That's
yeah,
me.
it's the truth.
because a lot of times men don't really want to
Yeah, we don't want to say that, but we like,
Right.
yeah, can you do that for me? Yeah, can
Right.
you take care of that? I'm like, and she knows, I'm like, babe, can you do that? Can you call them? Can you take it? Yeah.
And look, it's sometimes it's like sitting in AJ's room dorm yesterday, and we bought him groceries, and I put it on. We both brought it in. I put it all up. So I'm sitting down, and I hear him go, "We could make a sandwich."
Did he make it?
No. So he walks past the refrigerator
We
to go
won.
in the bathroom and goes, "We could make a sandwich." And I sat on the bed and I said, "Yeah, you sure can. The meat is in the refrigerator and the bread is on top." And I laid there.
But we need
However, though, it's in me to do it for him.
Yeah.
So I literally have to fight myself to not get up and serve him. Serving comes natural to me. So I have to literally fight myself to not do, because I laid on the bed, I thought, Joker, not today. I meant it. And then so what I did was I got up and I made sandwiches to put in my purse to take in the game, thinking when we're in the game for a few hours, we might get hungry. Here we go. He saw me making them. He goes, "You finished with the sandwich?" And I handed it to him, and I made the sandwich anyway. But the reality of it is, it's worse for me to sit there and not do it.
Right.
It is. So
We know.
I don't have to not be myself.
We know.
Right? That's why he said it.
We know.
That's why
You're
he
right.
Which
You're
is,
right.
it's all good if when I say what I need, it's just as easy for him to do it. And there's no, like, if I said to him, "Hey, look, it's time for my, I really think I need 2 new tires," because my dad done said it to me twice every time, I go down there. And he might blow his breath. Why he's blowing his breath, I don't know, because he will do it. So I don't know what the breath blowing is for at that particular time. Because I'm the one that's going to
Because we
make the
can't.
sandwich. So,
That's all.
but if I actually said, "Look, I gotta get the tires. I mean, it'll get done, but I want that same easiness. You know, I'm gonna make you a sandwich if you say it. I want to know whatever I say. You're just gonna automatically do it. Automatically.
And
without
it's
the break.
crazy. We argued this weekend because my wife is a planner.
Mhm.
Let's wing it. We're going to Jeffrey Osborne. We didn't get the hotel and everything to the day of the afternoon. And she's like, I mean, she's livid. I'm like, what's wrong with you? We're going there and get us a room. Why we gotta get it now? She's like, because I want the anticipation of being able to relax, knowing that we have the room.
Yeah.
That everything is
Thank
there.
you.
That we're gonna go and enjoy it. I'm like,
Thank you, Miss Ruth.
man, we're gonna get up there and get a room. There's 1,000 hotels up there. We can go up there and get one. That's me though, right?
That's me, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. She's like, no. I want the relaxation of knowing that I have the room.
Yes.
And that when we get up there, that this is what we're gonna do instead of riding around trying to find a place to stay. I was like, and it took me a minute, right? And I told her, I said, that makes sense to me that you told me that, right? The anticipation of the relaxation of knowing that
I
this
got
is
her.
already. And for us, we're like, man, please. We get get us a room, we call, hey, whatever, hey, yeah, we're good. You know?
But I think it's because we're doers, right?
Yes.
Like you're saying.
Yes.
Yep.
So we're doers. So when I have the moment to unwind,
Yeah.
I anticipate,
Yeah.
okay, for this time, I won't have any responsibilities of, work, calls, children. I'm planning everything around this time because if this is my downtime,
Let me enjoy it.
let me
Yes.
enjoy it. And I look forward to that. So sometimes it gets me through the week to know, okay, on this day we're going to leave at this time, have a room, everything's ready, I'm going to go. And I'm already starting to unwind.
Yes.
And what I shared with him is like, this last minute thing is not unwinding time for me. Now I'm stressed to the max because I'm thinking, now we got to get up here, get a room. Who knows what time we're leaving? That doesn't work for me. Look, he came downstairs. He's like, "Are you ready?" I'm sitting right there, and he's like, "Are you ready?" I'm like,
I'm packed.
"For what?" He said, "I'm packed." You could have told me.
Bobby, let's go. What you waiting on? Let's go. Come on, girl, get up.
So then I'm frustrated all the way to Jeffrey Osborne, put on my own headphones saying, Lord, send me a scripture because I'm
She had headphones on all the way up there. Look, ain't no music on in the car. No, I don't ride without music. No music on. She got her headphones. I know. I'm like, well, it's going to be a long and the funny thing about it is that I had to get it, right? When she said that, I got it. You know why? Because the first thing I asked is, girl, come on, find us a room. We up here. Go on Orbit and find us a room. Because now I put it back on her.
Right.
And that's what she's talking about.
Right.
I don't want to have to do all that.
Yep.
That needs to be done.
Yep.
And we sit back and relax and enjoy the moment when we get up there.
Exactly.
And I didn't see that.
Right.
And I told her, I said, I get it now. I didn't see that. That makes sense to me. I get it.
Right.
So,
Right.
and that's how the weekend.
It's almost like you're rushing.
Right.
Yeah.
And like,
And then I put it back on her. Girl, get us a room. I'm over here fighting traffic. Get us a room. What you waiting on?
And you know what's funny is that she probably anticipated you were going to put it back on her. That's why she wanted to handle it good.
So
Right?
I don't see the problem with it.
But that's why we do.
I don't see the problem with it.
You already knew she'd already got
Yeah.
Right.
What happened? But again, when she said that,
We got it.
Yeah.
it made sense to me because I didn't get it at first. I'm like, what's wrong with you? We ain't got nothing to do. We off for 5 days. Let's go up here and get us a room.
Right.
No, y'all.
But she was like, again, I put it back on
But it's
her.
funny because we've been having the same discussion for years. Because I said, do you get that I'm a planner? I get that you wing it. But we don't always have to wing it. Sometimes we could plan. And I'm a planner and it perturbs me to wing it. And so, but until we sat down and I said, look, this is why I like to plan things in advance, right? And so he's like, okay, I get it. I get it.
And what is something that you know now that you wish you knew and could have helped you earlier in your marriage? And I'll start with the Bookers.
Of course. numbers. Managing the finances. Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah, if I knew that when I met her that she couldn't handle money right, I would have never let her handle money. I just assumed that she could, and I saw that with my mom, so I let that happen. But if I knew that, I would never let her handle the money out the gate. It would have been a lot better situation.
Sir.
If I'd have known what real love was about and know how to really show love, we'd have been further down the road. And not so much fighting the feeling of love, being afraid to open up and be vulnerable and trusting someone like my wife, if I'd have grabbed hold of that earlier and, learn to be more open and truthful and just trusting that what we have is real love. If I'd have grabbed hold of that earlier, we'd have been further down the road, I believe.
I would have to say, if I had accepted him for who he was, then I thought I did, but I really didn't, because I think I picked apart him for a lot of years, thinking that, again, my upbringing and everything had to be better because he came from this. And so, but had I accepted him and how he viewed life and his desire to be a better man, had I really accepted that early on and not focus so much on trying to change him and just allow him to be him and love him along the way, it would have probably been a lot less arguing and back and forth and all of that. Just allowing him to be who he was, because the core of him is who I fell in love with, and it's always been good. I just didn't trust the core.
Okay.
If I can go back 30 years, I would still marry this man, but I would be able to change our journey together to a much better and peaceful and a wonderful journey. I mean, I don't regret it. I've learned a lot from it to get me to where I am now. But yeah, that would be me.
If I could go back, what I know now, then, maybe communicate better. As teenagers, man, we didn't know what love was. And so at 19 and 17, some counseling probably would have helped. Right. To be honest, somebody, you know what I'm saying? Because that puppy love thing that we got married on, it wasn't, because it wasn't strong. You supposed to be like, we wasn't battle tested back then. So every little thing broke us apart and drove us in different directions, so at that young of an age. So I say probably some marital counseling before we got married.
I think had I played my role from the beginning, I wish I wouldn't be so exhausted.
That's good.
Yeah. And that my happiness is not his responsibility.
That's good,
part
right
right
there.
there.
That part right there.
That's right.
That's
right
good.
there.
That part right there.
That's
I
good.
think we've all learned now.
Yes,
all
that's
of us.
good.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. What's the question?
What is something that you know now that you wish you knew and could have helped you early in marriage?
Christ.
True.
Yeah.
Knowing Christ. I'm not going to just say knowing Christ.
Knowing it, right.
That's it.
Big difference.
Christ. Knowing Christ back then, man, it would have changed so many things quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly. So, yeah, knowing Christ back then.
Okay, final question. Thinking about your spouse, What is the love of your spouse? What is the truth of your spouse from your eyes? And what is the power of your spouse?
What's the love, the truth, and the power?
Start with you, Mama.
The love of my spouse is how sacrificial he is. In that he never complains. He's never complained about anything through all my different phases of roots. When I was disrespectful, when when I started going to a different church, when I was more focused on my children than I was on him. He's never, throughout all of it, he has never once complained. And so his ability to, to just push through and love me at every phase of me, menopausal. We'll see if we get to the other side. But that's the love of him. To see him how he loves without complaining. The truth of my husband is that he is much more emotional than I've ever known. Like he's always been that person, but I've never paid attention. And him being more vulnerable as we've gotten older has really helped me be more vulnerable. And the power of my husband is that him having this wife that he has never diminished who he is as a man. He's never let me diminish. I mean, I could be having this fight, I could be disrespectful, I could be all this thing. It has never diminished who he is in his household or to me. Like he's never talked down to me, never. I mean, he ain't crazy, he ain't never gonna hit me, but he's never denied me anything. And that to me is very powerful. And I always say, he has to be a very secure man. And that attracts me to my husband. I'm like, I know I can only push him, but I always tell my girls. And then he has that crazy look in his eye that tells me you've gone too far.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see, I like that. Because then I feel secure, right? Mm-hmm. And so, so that's the love, truth, and power of my husband.
What's the question?
I know, right?
What's the love of your spouse? What is the truth of your spouse from your perspective? And what is the power in your spouse?
The love of my spouse is also the truth of my spouse, that she is the glue to my family. I'm gonna lead, I'm gonna be out front, but what's out front is not necessarily what's taking place behind the scenes, right? She's that glue that makes it happen. She's that glue that keeps it together, and still letting me be that man out front, still giving me my pride that I want, that I should have, but it still sits here, and still letting me lead from the front, That's the love of it. And to see my family, for me to see my family, her and the girls, man, that's the truth of her that I see. That's my truth for her, is the way that she brings my family together and the way that she warms my soul. see her and my girls, that's, what else is there, right? But your family. That overwhelms me. And I'm gonna keep those two together. The power of my spouse.
Only one thing,
The power of my spouse is the way that she loves me, knowing that I'm flawed. But I'm not perfect. And that I'll never be perfect. But for her to see me that in my walk with Christ, that I'm trying to live the best life I can live and to provide to her the best life that I can do. And for her to see that and love me regardless, that's the power of my spouse.
Mr. McKay?
You go first, baby. Love, power, and truth.
Okay, my love is that Isaac is a very lovable person. I love him for him. I love him for his advices and
The truth, man, of your spouse.
my truth is that he's true to his word. What's that one?
Power.
Power. The power is that that he is who he says he is. You know, he's a man of God and he loves the Lord. And, yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So the love of my spouse is the unconditional love that she has for me in spite of. The truth of my spouse is her willingness to grow outside of her comfort zone. And the power of my spouse, I'll say the same thing that I said in the very first podcast, is that with God's help, we are battle tested. And that's our power, but yeah. That's it.
Miss Patricia? The love of my husband is how he provides for the family. At one point, he was running a business and working full time. And not saying that he was harming himself when doing it, but just to see him, we didn't want him to harm himself, but it's just something that he was doing, right? But to see him take care of us, I mean, amazing. I come from a family with little, being married to a guy with some, and him taking my daughter and making her his daughter. She was 2. Sending her to college, paying for her wedding. That's just love. And she knows that that's her dad. She knows her dad, but this is her dad. That's the love. I always say that every time. I always thank him for that because that was powerful for me. That he did that. He didn't have to do that. So that shows a lot of love. I mean, when she got married, her dad came along and her dad asked her who was going to walk you down the aisle. And we was curious as to what she was going to say. And she was like, well, this dad is going to walk you down the aisle. So that was just love so much. Every time I think about that, y'all, it was amazing because me and my daughter just alone by ourselves was a lot. But God sent him So that's my love about him. I'll never, ever, ever forget that with him. And what was the other one?
Truth and power.
The truth about him. He's a man of his word. His yes is yes and his no is no. But there are some times that he'll have to go back and renegotiate. But I love that about him because, boy, I'm a pusher. If I say something, if I want something, oh boy, he'll stick with his. Well, why do you always say that? And you know this, you know that. But I like him because he's a man of his word. And the power of him is that if he ever falls down, he does not have a problem with getting back up, trying it again, or trying something new, and he will not let his family down. I've seen that just over and over and over again in him. So I love him so much for all three of those things.
What was the question again?
What is the love of your spouse, the truth of your spouse from your perspective, and the power of your spouse?
So the love. I mean, it's just how much she loves, how much she showed me that she loved me every day. She just shows me unconditionally how much she loves me, and that just trips me out sometimes, you know. And the second one was what? Truth.
Truth.
As far as truth, she trips me out because she never lets nothing bother her, you know. And I've learned it from her. She's taught me to never let nothing bother her, you know, and that keeps me going, you know. Don't let nothing bother you. So I learned that from her. And as far as power, she can do anything. I believe she can do anything. She has shown me over the years that she just can do anything. I'm like, man, you can do anything.
Mr. Covington.
You first.
She said, Mr.
Well, he told his wife to go first.
That worked for her. That didn't work for
The love of my wife is just like this, that she loved me through all the nonsense and through it all. She stuck by me. And yeah, that's just the love of her. And just how much she showed me, try to show me every day how much she loves me. The truth about it is that she's about our family. You know, even my daughters, you know, it's about the family. And as she explained, she got 100 things she doing and all of that, but she still take time for the family, plan our vacation, plan the trips, plan the cookouts, you know. So she's all about her family. And the power of it is that when she set her mind to it, it's gonna happen. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, it's gonna happen. And the power just to overcome. I mean, you know, you might not seem, I'm not an easy person to live with.
Say it isn't so.
It ain't so, but even, you know, with my little attitudes and all of that, she steadfast on what she believes and what she want to get done, whether I agree with it or not, and her power just sticking with it. That's what I like.
I would have to say the love of my husband is the husband and the father that he is. He is true to it. 100%. He is a man. He's all man. He's going to take care of his wife and his kids and grandkids, and how he loves those grandkids is something that is always amazing to me to watch. The truth about him is that he is good enough as he is. He doesn't have to try to be or fake to be or anything. Who he is actually good enough for me. The power of him is that he will always be himself. I remember when Booker got in an accident and Pat called me and I got to the hospital first and he was in there, and from my eyes, he was hurt, he was in pain. I mean, he almost died. And so I'm seeing the scratches on his face and everything. And I was just like torn up. And I called him, look, when you get here, don't be joking with him or nothing, because he's really in a lot of pain. This man is hurting. Tony said, I'm going to be myself. And when he came in there, he joked on him, and they stuck him with a needle, and he teased him the whole time, and all of that. And just, I patted him for what in the world? I mean, he crying and he ragging on him in front of the doctor, so much that the doctor said, that's your friend. But it made me realize that that's what he needed to help pull him up out of what he was dealing with. And it reminded me that who he is good enough. And so Tony, without a shadow of a doubt, he is going to always be himself. And so if you ever going through anything, he with you. He's solid friend. But he gonna rag on you at the same time.
I'll see you when I get home.
Thank you for joining us. And we hope that, like us, you experience that love is truly a blank canvas. That over time, the power of its beauty is revealed as you commit, add color and depth, and ultimately create a masterpiece.